Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Well, where should we start here? As I know nothing about repairing this, it's better for you. Thank you for what you do. It's awesome watching you work on YouTube. Okay, Mr. M, here we go. Gentlemen, we're here today to work on this. Turn my viewfinder around so I can at least see what I'm doing here. This is an M-800. It's a standard M-800. It's got MRF 455s in it. And like a standard M-800, the thing has been hot as hot gets. Look at this. It's kind of crusticicled. And no, that's not corrosion, you guys. That's from the schmoo getting cooked out of the heatsink. Straight up. Now, we can very clearly see that we have some smoked input resistors. We have, obviously, right here directly dead center in the camera, we got two bad transistors. And down buried in here, we got some burned up combiner resistors. Now, what he tells me is this, is that most of his equipment was hit by lightning. And he said that this thing ran for a little bit and then it quit. And I said, man, you know, I've discovered with lightning hit equipment, it's like you'll fix one thing, it'll run for a hot minute, then something else will break. And then it'll run for a hot minute, and then something else will break. Before you know it, you repaired a whole amplifier or the whole piece of equipment, and it's cost you 4 times what it would take to replace it. Now, I made that really clear. He said, go ahead, try and fix it anyhow. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to give this old girl a bath. Not that she's incredibly dirty, but I want you guys to see the before and after transformation of getting all the flux off the board. So, outside we go with the acetone. Yo, yo. So we gave her the old douche. It's kind of like a new amplifier in there, doesn't it? Well, we noticed this. This is a fried trace that's here. And we look here. Now they always burn up in the middle. They'll burn up between somewhere between here and usually underneath these diodes just because it's annoying to fix. This usually points to somebody having a really shitty remote setup going on. And instead of repairing the trace, we've added this wire, which is what this trace does. And this is some kind of remote setup, which I need to call my customer and see if that's actually what he's got going on, but since it's the only thing that can be used for, that's what it is. So, I think it's odd that they didn't want to fix this little tiny broken trace and they added this speaker wire in here. But now we're going to start the fun part. The fun part is a very systematic, slow disassembly of this thing. This is no good too. Let me zoom out here for a minute. Let's help put this in perspective. This is good. This is soldered-ish. These are solid copper barrels. This is a good job here. The fact that we want a smaller gauge wire and then our eyelets are not soldered, we're already on the edge of what that wire can carry. So what I like to do on these is we'll replace this with nice, new, beautiful, oxygen-free stinger, and we're going to bypass this fuse holder, and then we'll add a piece of phenolic board in here, which will do more for the current load than this piece of solid wire ever could do. Why, do you ask? Because it's vastly more surface area. Remember, the electron's right on the outside of things, not down the middle of things, okay? So why do you think we have stranded wire? Everybody out there in TV land is going, well, it's so that the electrons can travel on the surface of the strands of the wire. That's right. The more surface area that you have for everything to ride on, the better off you're going to be. So making it more dense, but not increasing our surface area, yeah, the density allows us to put up with more heat transfer from the resistance of the current draw, but it does not allow us to actually carry more current, where if we could carry more current and more volts, more amps, we could deliver this more efficiently through more surface area, we'd have less heat because there's less resistance. Just saying. All right, so I'm going to cut away. When we come back, all the power wires are going to be out. This whole section is going to be apart, and we're going to be testing some transistors here real quick. Well, we know these two are bad, right? So I went ahead and I removed this transistor as well. And that's what's in the tester here. The reason I did that is because there's so many burnt components around. That's not a good sign. There's so many burnt components around here, like this combiner was burned. Now we don't normally see, or this splitter, don't normally see the balancing resistors burn up unless the guy really stayed on a key. If this is dead, means most likely this one's toast as well, which makes me question the rest of the transistors in the amp, which is not good. Not good. I hear transistor replacement in my future calling out pretty heavy here. Let's lift its match pair out here. Oh, this isn't good. Okay. Let me disassemble this whole end. Damn it. He said it was working, and it quit. The way this has went down and what I'm seeing in front of me is it's telling me that it quit working when it got hit. Which, if that's the case, I'd have to assume they're all dead, but we'll find out here with this next transistor. Okay, it's got a gain of 16, which is like 28, almost 30 in the real world. Let me call the customer. This sucks. Pays to be the king of 10 ohms. These are two separate bags of multiple different kinds of 10 ohms. And I was able to find two that will physically match the rest that are in this box. So, unless you knew I was here, you won't know I was here internally, at least from the telltale ports of the 10 ohms. I can't stand that. When I open up a box that's been worked on by somebody else and it's like, they're not even the same color. I mean, they're the right electrical resistance. I get that. Not even the same color. Can't stand that. Okay, so I had to replace these 4 transistors. And this is what I ended up coming up with. These are purple dots, all of these. Very clearly see the purple dots in there. This is a double black dot, which means when it was new, it had a gain well over 100. Now it's got a gain of like a mere mortal transistor of like 36, okay? It's down here walking amongst us normal people, instead of way up in the clouds there. Damn it, I should have taken a picture of this for my buddy JJ. Damn it, I didn't even think about that. He's teasing me about the mythical, never seen in real life, double black dot transistors, and there's one right here. It's a Motorola. I paired it up with a brand new MRF 455. So these two are within the same gain chain structure of each other. This is really important, you guys. This is a purple dot, which was new, and I had to pair that with a yellow dot, which has the same gain as the purple dot that was new, but it's used. So there's 2 used, 2 new. That makes any sense. But they have the same gain. That's really important. I had one guy actually accuse me one time that I don't know anything about transistors or how to gain structure them. All you do is laugh at him. Like, dude, I got the largest collection of transistor checkers there has ever been. This is my business. I study the crap out of it. It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to go in the house. I'll come back to this tomorrow night. Tomorrow during the day, I'm building this custom bracket thingy for my buddy's Dodge. He's got a brand new 2019 Dodge. We're building this really cool custom bracket system that utilizes the sunglass holder, but also utilizes the contact points of the oh shit handles by the doors. And it's a tubular system. It's all cut and contoured. We've got to index all of that tomorrow and tack weld it all together and then bring it in here and take it all up, and then we're gonna sand it all down and put epoxy paint on it. Because the epoxy is much harder than powder coat. And so he can mount all his cell phones and his radios and shit to it. But that's what I'm doing tomorrow. So I'll have to come back to this tomorrow night. And then Monday I start on a comp 24 pill. No relay, 24 pill. It never ends. It's a show that never ends. Gentlemen, you have a good night. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you. Bye. Okay. So, I thought while I was in here, so trying to figure this out later. I'd come in and I'd test these caps. Each one of these caps is supposed to be 450 puff a piece. That one's at 450 or 430. This one's at 450 or 449. 413, which is bad. That's well outside of the 1% spec. So these caps get really friggin' hot. 448, so that's within spec. So this one's in spec, that one's in spec, that one's out, and this one's out. This one here. These caps get really, really, really hot. And they break down with temperature over time. It starts to break down the connections on the inside of the capacitor. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace them with these metal clads. I have two 250s here, and I'll solder a couple of these together, and then we'll mount them like this on top of the cap or on top of the transformer. That way we don't have to worry about this anymore. And then the other one we always got to check is this little guy right back here. This guy right here. This little cap. So you got this variable capacitor, and then this is your final output tune. This little tiny shitty capacitor which is supposed to be like a 170 or 180. That always goes bad. So we're planning for the best, or prepping for the worst, preparing for the best, praying for the best, preparing for the worst. And I thought I'd get in here and test all of this before I put it all back together. I got our 10 ohms in, I got the power distribution in. The only thing I got to do over here is add that plate that I was talking about earlier. So let's build some caps. Well, we did a couple things. Changed a couple things. This is where we were back last. Sitting with a spectrum analyzer, my silly scope. All right, 1,000 watt valves and average 5 watt sucking reverse. Hello, 20 whole watts of drive. You guys didn't catch that. Hello, 20 whole watts of drive. Okay, so we tune in reverse order. If that makes any sense to you guys. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna grab my special screwdriver. Ta-da! So we tune in reverse order. We tune from final output back around to driver. Oh shit, there's one more mod I want to do. Hold on. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to add this piece of Teflon based wire. That's really important on any enclosed space like this, that we use Teflon based wire. It gets hot, it shorts out, we have a fire. Now, this whole ass end has been apart twice since I was on camera last. And they ended up having that 100 puff capacitor down there by the transformers go bad. Okay. Took a few minutes to work that out, 2 or 3 tries. We added our power wire up, or our bus bar upgrade, which is all soldered. And then we got rid of this shit here. This might have carried enough current, but when we downsize this down to this gauge of wire and not have soldered ends, was no good. So what I did is I went ahead and I doubled down. And I gave you the exact same length of power wire, but I did it with dual 8s and a single piece of 4 gauge. So now we know that we're getting much better current delivery to the amplifier section. So like I was just going to show you, we tune in reverse order. Now all these trimmer caps in here are very important. Very, very important. And it's very important that nobody goes in here and turns them. So first we're going to tune this for resonancy, this one in the back. And then we're going to tune this one for the maximum amount of drive. We do this on high. This is where things get really tricky. You need to have a spectrum analyzer to adjust this one. And this is our input tune reflect. Our input tune is actually buried behind this bank of resistors, which is an attenuator, our low, medium, and high. And then this bank of attenuators here. This is an incredibly low drive amplifier. So I'm going through all the hassle of fixing this. But I know it's going to go to a household that's going to hit it with a 99 V2. But, it's like I told him, keep your mic gain low-ish, and keep your volts down on the radio and the volts and amps up on the amplifier. You'll be all right. Hopefully. So we're going to put 20 watts of drive in this thing. We're on 15.5 volts at the terminals over here. We're going to flip the switch back here up to the 4 watt position. So we're going to bypass this attenuator that's right here in the back. We're going to bypass that completely. Preamp is working. So we're creating from about a half a watt worth of dead key going in, creating a 100 watt carrier coming out. Oh, 850 watts worth of peak power. Leave that alone. Now we come over here. Leave that one alone. So now we're going to look up at our spectrum. Tune out the garbage. Leave this one alone. Half a watt of input reflect. It's really important that we don't get busy touching anything in here. Okay? I can't stress to you how important it is. And to help keep you honest, but more to protect the amplifier than anything in shipping, or if you ever put this in a mobile bud, take them, we're going to paint these. Now paint is non-conductive. Not that there's not enough surface tension on the screws to hold things in place, but I'm a firm believer if it doesn't have a lock washer or a star washer on it, it can back off. So we'll glue this down. Then no one has to worry about nothing. So this comes back and this glue is broken, then I know somebody put their fingers in here and decided if they could see if they could get 5 more watts out of it, which you'll never get. Now, I know I said just a minute ago that we tune this one with the spectrum analyzer. We do and we don't. Really what that capacitor does is makes the transistor think either the transformer's longer or shorter. By adding or subtracting capacitance, changes the Henry turns inside, or not, doesn't change the unit Henry turns, it changes the coupling capacitance, and it makes the device think that the transformer is a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. Gives you a little bit of an adjustment window. But the only thing you can do there is check that by watching your core saturation and watching your frequency occupation. Okay? And then you're going to tune for maximum resonancy. This here, we're adjusting our dip circuitry, otherwise our grid, our frequency dip, from the coil. So here's your pi, and then here's this other capacitor that's right here. That's your pi L circuit. Once again, an inductor circuit. So you're taking induction with a little bit of an inductor with a little bit of capacitance on both sides, pi L, and that's driving it down to 50 ohms to come over here to the splitter. Very brilliant design. Messenger was here a long, long time before a lot of the other builders. And that's why you see, if you strip the bias out of this completely, you'll see a lot of these high turn count transformer styles that were built in the 80s and 90s, because a lot of guys were copying what they were seeing here. Okay. But they started playing with the turns ratio and the output transformers and adding capacitance here. That brings me to another story. Today I want to go to cbtricks.com. The site is down. Now, I don't know about all of you, but CB Tricks has been a very vast inventory of knowledge for a lot of people for decades. And it is beyond me why that web page would be down. There's a lot of schematics, a lot of drawings, a lot of diagrams that are there. And I wanted to check on the M-800, because you can't keep all of this stuff in your head, what Messenger's stock capacitance and turn ratios was, so I could verify that to this. Well, I didn't have access to that knowledge because CB Tricks webpage is down. I would really appreciate it if somebody out there in Videoland has the contact information or the means to get a hold of the owner of cbtricks.com, that they please drop me a line, a text or a message, or ask him to call me personally. Or just ask him to at least text me. Because if it's a financial reason that that web page is not on the internet, believe me when I tell you, I can find all the people that would love to give him money to be able to make sure that that web page continues. Myself included. Okay. So the only thing I haven't shown on camera yet so far is our input tune. Camera's getting so heavy that this tripod I got for it can't keep it locked in place. And that on the output side is making well over 800 watts. Well over 800 watts. Taking place there. Let's go ahead and let's pan up here for a minute. And let's show you what you're looking at here. We're starting at 0 megahertz. And we're going all the way to 500 megahertz. Okay? Very clear with what we got going on here. This is radio principle. Okay? Amplifier. Well within band occupation. Once again, I cannot stress this enough. Keep your fingers off the variables. It makes all the difference. You betcha that the watt meter over here, we can go in there and tweak on this for another 20 minutes and we can get this to show us more. But the power is not going to be in a place where it's usable. It'll be all over. It'll be false power. And so when you tune this into a dummy load, the dummy load doesn't care what you put into it. It's resonant across everything. 0 megahertz all the way out to, well, I've run this particular 10,000 watt dummy load all the way up to 450 megahertz with absolutely no input reflect issues. So, saying, no touchy, keep meat beaters off. Good, okay? Really what controls a lot of the frequency occupation is going to be this capacitance here. And you can get a little bit of from here as well, this cap here. You can see that happen as well. So we put 2 watt flame resistors throughout for our input network and for our output network. Power wire upgrades all the way around. We had to replace these 4 55s because these things are deader than dead. And I mean deader than dead than dead. This cap was down at 410 or whatever it was. This one was at 430. These two are within spec. I went ahead and I replaced them with metal clad micas. Or just metal capacitors. Never have to worry about it again. Hand tied it, all soldered with nice Kester solder. Defluxed. Everything on this box now works again. Remember, this thing was a horrible victim of a lightning strike. Lightning strike. We're not judging. We're just working with what we got. That's it. This thing's done. Now, normally what I do is I go through this whole tune-up process, I check everything, and then you guys get to see the output power. Okay, guys, this is what it does. I decided to do it live on camera today, just to show you how absolutely important it is. We can make that watt meter read whatever the hell we want. We can make it show us a ton of false power, and you can get there by jacking up your input reflect and getting all kinds of weird harmonics in it. Or we can just do clean and mean. I prefer clean and mean, and the amplifier prefers it too. Now there's one last little item I have to do before I part company with all of you today. And I've been telling myself to do this since yesterday. Let's zoom on in here. This cap is swollen up. Keeps on swollen. It's part of your bias circuit. So let's go ahead and let's see what was supposed to be in here. Come here. Oh, somebody's tried to volt this. 25 volt, 100 UF. Boy howdy, lots of filtration taking place there. That is one of these. So it's a 220 puff capacitor is what I replaced it with. What's 100 puffs amongst friends? It's a lot of things amongst meth heads, I'll tell you that much. It's not that much between stoners. Guys that huff gasoline who are just flat out retarded. Of course, they're usually the same people that think the planet is flat. That could be the difference between life or death, but I don't know. I never was one into huffing gasoline. There was a kid in junior high, his name was Bill. He locked himself up in his parents' garage and huffed gasoline all one day because he thought it was so funny and cool, and everybody at school was going to think he was funny the rest of his life. I think Bill didn't understand as he come to school the next day and he was talking real slow. And he never was able to talk fast again. And I went, okay, that's a dumb way to get high. Lesson learned, Darwinism at its best. Gentlemen, I got to run. The power wire on this thing was woefully inadequate, by the way, you guys. Woefully inadequate. I'm not a big fan. See, the idea is you bring big fat wire to little tiny wire to go inside box. And what most people think is little tiny wire come out box, we can use a little tiny wire feed amplifier. Gentlemen, there's 9 transistors in here pulling 25 amps a piece. 20 to 25 amps a piece. You do the math. You really want to pass 200 amps worth of current through this little tiny wire? I don't. So, upgraded. 1 single piece of 4 gauge and 2 pieces of 8. And now we're not going to have quite the same amount of problems. Now, I hope this thing runs perfectly for this guy. Please, for the love of God, remember, 10 watt position. Okay, that brings this attenuator into play. Because remember, your radio, even though your dead key's low, when you modulate, it peaks high. Okay, and I can't stand those guys that call me, well, I got my dead key down to around 2 watts. Yeah, but what happens when you go to modulate? Oh, it goes up to about 100. Yeah, but this is a low drive amplifier, and they repeat themselves like a broken record. Well, yeah, but I have my dead key down there like about 1 watt. There's more to it than that. Gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this little show and tell. I've enjoyed the opportunity to sit here and do it. I have got a really cool comp box I got to build next. Big money. It's going to take me a couple days, so you're probably not going to see another YouTube video for at least a couple days. My good friend Mr. J out there, EPD, called me today and informed me that they've started production on your custom transformer. And your Teflon tube chimney has shown up. These are the shit. Guys, I gotta give big shout outs. Now, look, I'm starting to pick up companies that are really, really wanting to work with me a lot. And I tell them, listen, I'm no one's whore, okay? I'm not. We're gonna be starting a Patreon channel here pretty quick, I think. And I'd really appreciate it if you guys could come find it and do whatever you feel you want to do. Harbach. I've now entered into teamwork with Harbach over there, and man, those guys are so cool. He just one man band on a mission to try and help change the universe a little bit better, one SB220 at a time. I'm glad to stand with him and be able to work with him. Excess Power, Siglant, Bird, Coaxial Dynamics, thank you guys. But the most important thing of them all is I got to give thanks every single day that I got all of you guys out there, you guys, willing to sit back and watch this pornography that I make for you guys all the time. A lot of love and energy goes into it. I hope you all enjoy it, and thank you guys for the projects and the patience. I'm out, gents. On to the next one. Bump bump for the biggest dock in Idaho. I'll see you.